Hey guys, welcome back to this series whereby we create live data using Fast API. This is part 2 video, and in this we are going to create 3 endpoints. One will be used for testing, one will be used to accept data and create records in the database, and third one will be used to return data. Now let's get started. We'll start by creating a file called as main.py, and as name suggests, this will be the main file, and we will have to import few things. So from database I will import the getDB function that we created, and from models import list pydantic post, then post the model itself and pydantic post, and from Fast API we'll import few things. So from Fast API import depends, then Fast API. Okay, let's keep it to here itself right now, and we'll do rest of the import as required. So I'm going to create object of Fast API. So app is equal to Fast API, and whatever we write over here now will be used as endpoint. So first let's create a test endpoint, and we'll try to run and check. So I will start by creating first function, and it will take decorator, that is this app.get, because this will be a get endpoint and it will work on the index. Async def get. Okay, you can name anything, the function can be named anything. It might not be same as this. I have just named it as get over here. Actually, let's change the path to test, because we will not use it every time. This is for just for general testing. So I'm going to return dictionary, and this will be message is to success. Now let's try to run the server and check it out. To run the server, this is the following command that I'm going to use. uvcon, that is the server. From the main file, use the app variable, that is this, and -- reload, that means whenever there is any change, the server will reload, and press enter. Let's go to the server that is running on 8000 port, and yes, because index is not present, and /test, and message success. That means our Fast API server is up and running. Okay, let's stop the server and continue. So this is our first endpoint that was used for testing. We'll create another endpoint, second one, that will be used for listing all the items from the post model. Okay, so at app.get it will list all the items. Okay, so I'll call it as posts, and we are going to create the function now. Async def list items. This will take in one parameter, that is db, and this will be session will be equal to depends, and this will get _db. Let me import this session. This will come from SQL Alchemy ORM. First of all, let's complete the entire function, then I will explain what I have done and why. We'll create a variable called as posts. This will store all the posts from the db. So db.query, and I will pass in the model which it has to query, that is post model, and I want all the data from there. And once we have all the data, we want to send it to the user, that is we want to return it. So for that I will do return list pydantic post, and pass all the posts as posts, and then .json will be single open and close brackets, not multiple, and by mistake I have imported the list. I'm going to remove that. So over here I have created an endpoint called as posts, and whenever that endpoint is hit, this function will be called, and this function accepts a default parameter called as db, which is of type session, which comes from SQL Alchemy ORM, and it is dependent on getDB function. This getDB function is declared in database.py, which is like returning me with a local session that uses session maker, and it yields, that is it returns the DB, and whenever the use is done it will close it automatically. So for the entire function the database session will be open, and then we use that database variable to query to post models and get all the posts from there and store it in post variable. And then we use list pydantic post model that we created in the previous video to serialize basically all the data that we got from the database and return the JSON to the user. We cannot really use this function until we have some data in the database. So let's go ahead and create our third endpoint, which will accept data from the user and then it will create the record in the database. So I will call it as app.post and I will call it as post/insert. And over here the response model will be response_model will be pydantic post, because user will give us one single data and we will return the pydantic post models format, that is serialized format, to the user. I'll create the function over here, async def create item. You all can use better naming convention over here because I'm using general like list items, create item. So this will take in data because user will be passing data to us, and this will be of type pydantic post. So this will ensure that validation is done over here because we are giving the type over here. Okay, then again we will have DB and this will be also same. So I will copy it from here, that is session get is equal to depends on the get DB. And now over here one good thing is that this will not just validate but it will also parse the data in pydantic post format. So we can use the .dig function on data variable. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is I will create a variable DB item. So this will be used to add it into database. I will create of the type post and I'm going to give the data which I got and it is in type of format pydantic post. So we can use dict over here because pydantic models have a function method called as dict. Like over here we have used JSON, likewise it has dict. So this will expand for the post model, and then we will use db.add. Okay, and I will pass in the db item over here, then db.commit, so it will commit, and db.refresh, and we'll pass in the db item over here. Once this is done, we just have to return the data. And since we have specified over here response model, so the data will be automatically serialized in the pydantic post model. So quickly what I have done over here, I have created an endpoint called as post/insert. I have specified the response model, that will be like what kind of data will be returning to the user, that will be of the type pydantic post. Then we have created a function and it takes in data of the type format pydantic post. And here itself validation is done because we have specified this type. Then we have DB session which is dependent on the get DB and it will open a session basically, and then we expand this data variable in post format and we commit it to the database and we return. So let's save this. Let me clear the screen and we'll run the server. uvcon main is the file name, app is the object of the fast API that we have created, and reload, because if anything goes wrong I just want to change the code and reload the server. So let's run this. Now I have this extension installed called as Thunder Client, which helps me in doing all the calls. Now we are not going to use Postman for all the coding videos because it is very heavy, so I'm going to use this one. So let's change the URL post/insert. I will specify the ID one and we'll give it some title. This is title 1, or wait, this is post 1 and it consists of some content, and the status is in draft mode. I will send, let me check, hold on. So it is post and not post, so the URL is updated, and let's try to do that. Okay, so this has been done and I think the data was inserted. How we can verify? We can verify by going to the post endpoint. Actually it is posts endpoint because it will return multiple things, and we are going to directly send it. So here, as you can see, we got our first data because that is what we have created over here. Let's create one more. So I will pass in id as 2, post as 2, and send. This was also created, and let me rerun this to get the post, newly created post. So this is also working. Let's go to the browser and test the same. So we'll go to the posts endpoint, and there we go, we get all the data over here. Alright, and to insert we actually have to use some client, because the method used is the of type post and not get. So that's it guys for this video. In this video we have successfully created our 3 endpoints: first to test, second to return the data, and third to accept the data and create record in our database. In the next video we will try to cover up the WebSocket part. So make sure to subscribe to our channel, like this video, share, and see you in the next one.